Hi everybody, it's Carolyn at Carolina Crafting, and I'm coming to you today with part 3 of my series of making your own designer series paper and then cutting it and making some cards. So if you remember, the first week we just made our paper. It was an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and we just randomly stamped on there. And then last week we cut our cards, our designer series paper that we made, and we made these 2 cards. So tonight I'm going to come back and show you how to make a couple more cards from your cardstock. So I'm just going to move these 2 out of the way. And then this is what you had left. You had this little scrap of paper, which we're going to use tonight, and this strip of paper. So let me get my paper trimmer, and we're going to cut a few more strips and make another card. Okay. So you're going to turn your paper this way, and you're going to cut, this is a 1-inch strip we had left, so we're going to cut a couple of more 1-inch strips off of our paper. Okay. Once you've done that, save your big piece of paper. We're going to use it again to make another card. So with these 2 strips you've just cut, you want to cut these in 2. And it doesn't really matter where. I'm not measuring anything. I'm just going to cut them in 2. You can make them equal. You can make them a little different size. I'm going to make mine a little bit different sizes. Okay. Then what you'll end up with this card is 5 1-inch strips of paper like this. Next, you're going to come in and cut the ends of them like a banner. So you can either do this with scissors, or I have a retired punch that will cut the ends for me. I'm bad to save all of my retired Stampin' Up stuff just in case I want to use it again. So I did save mine, and so I'm going to use it to cut my ends. I still turn it over just to make sure everything's even on the back. And some of these short pieces, see, I may have to do those by hand. That one fits pretty good. But now I can't get it out. Hang on just a minute. Okay, I won't put the little ones in there anymore. So, again, I'm going to check, make sure I got it centered. Punch it out. And then my last one. Actually, next to the last one. The other one's too short, so we'll just cut it by hand. Okay. And then when I was talking about cutting it by hand, let me get my scissors. You're just going to snip a little bit in the middle, and then go from your point to the middle. There you go. Can't even tell that one wasn't cut with the punch. One thing I do want to mention, all of the cards we're making in these series, you don't need any punches or fancy equipment. I'm showing you how you can do a layout from your designer series paper that you made, and then your greetings or sentiment, you can put on any shape, or just cut a piece of cardstock and put it on there. You don't need a punch or anything that I may use extra in the video. So I just wanted to make sure you know that. Next, we're going to come in with an A2 card base, which is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Let's go ahead and give that a good burnish with our bone folder. And then you're just going to line your pieces up that you've got here at the top. just in a random order. I like putting my biggest one in the middle, and then I'll just space these others out. Okay, so when you have them kind of evenly spaced and like you like it, you're going to start gluing them down. And I'm lining them up at the top of the card. So I do my first one just to try to make sure I'm getting my spacing okay. And it looks like I need to shimmy him over a little bit. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So let's get the rest of these glued. Okay, we'll get these other pieces down. And last one. Okay. Now we need to do some stamping. And for our cards this week, I'm using the Right Words stamp set. It's one of the older ones. That's the cling mount with the red rubber stamp. You know, we've changed our packaging now, so this one you can still purchase, and I like a good stamp set that has a lot of sentiments. You can use it for a lot of cards. So this one's good for birthday, thinking of you, sympathy card, miss you. It's a good all the way around for many occasions. So this is the one we're going to use. So we need some cardstock to stamp on. This is just a piece of white that goes inside that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I've got a strip of fresh freesia that we're going to use to put our sentiment on the outside here. So this one's going to be a birthday card, and I'm going to be stamping with Gorgeous Grape ink. And we'll take the happy birthday stamp and just try to eyeball this in the middle here. Okay, that's pretty good. And then the inside says, to someone worth celebrating every single day. Okay. And then we just need to add this to our card. So we'll glue the inside greetings down. Got a little glue wanting to peek out there. Okay. And then this will just go across the top here. And I think I'll put it on some dimensionals. So let me grab my dimensionals. And these fit just kind of perfectly on there. They're just the right size. Okay. And we're just going to put this right across the top. And it should fit edge to edge on your card like that. Okay. Now this card is fine. Just like this, you don't have to add anything extra, but I like to put a little bit of extra on mine. So I'm going to come in and pick up 2 of these basic rhinestones and just put them on each side of that happy birthday. Space that one out a little more. Well, okay, we'll leave it like that. And there we go. There's another card we have completed. So we've got 3 made from our paper, and let's make a 4th one. So let's bring the paper trimmer in again. And our piece of cardstock that we have left. And from here, we're going to cut off a piece that's 1.5 inches. This piece we'll save for next week to finish out our cards. Then you're going to turn it the opposite way and cut 1.5 inches to give you 3 blocks that are 1.5 inches each. And then all you have left is that little bitty scrap, and you can toss it. So I've pre-cut the rest of my cardstock just to try to save a little time on the video. But once again, you need an A2 card base, which is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. You need a piece to go on the inside of your card. That's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. You'll need a piece of coordinating cardstock. This is Fresh Freesia to go on the front of your card, and it's the same measurements as the white. 4 inches by 5 1/4. You'll need another piece of coordinating cardstock that is 4 inches by 2 inches. Then you're going to need 3 squares. That will be the mats for your little designer series paper squares. And these are 1 5/8 by 1 5/8. Okay, so let's start doing some assembling. First, I'll just put all my little squares on their mats. My glue don't want to work tonight. And this gives you just that little tiny peekaboo mat around the edge. All right. Okay, once you've got all of those done, let's fold and burnish our card base. Then the piece of fresh freesia that is 4 by 5 1/4 goes right on the center on the front of your card. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now, you may want to lay out how this looks before you glue anything down. Your piece of coordinating cardstock will go more towards the bottom. Your little squares will go over towards the left edge. You can kind of see how you need to spread those out, but it'll be just like that. So I'm going to start gluing these down. I'll put these back just to make sure I get them evenly spaced. Okay, kind of like that. Looks good. And when I'm doing this, I kind of like, I'll either start at the center and work my way out depending on how many I'm trying to center, or I'll start on the edges and work my way in. So this time I'm starting on the edges and working my way in to try to get everything spaced out evenly. Then let's put the centerpiece in. Okay. I think that looks good. What do you think? All right, so now for our stamping. Let me grab my stamp set again. This time we're going to use these two stamps up in the upper left. And on the front, we're going to put, I wish I had the right words for a time like this. And on the inside, but just know how much I love and care about you. So again, we're going to be stamping in Gorgeous Grape. I'm going to stamp my inside piece first. Oops. It's a little crooked. That's why there's a back side, right? That's a little better. And then you'll need just a scrap piece of white to stamp the front greeting. Okay. And then I'm using a 1 3/4 circle punch to punch out the words to go on the front. Now remember, if you don't have punches, that's fine. You can just cut a square piece of paper to put yours on and go right with that. You don't need any special things other than cardstock, ink, and stamps to make these cards. So let me go ahead and glue this in the middle or on the inside. And then I want to use dimensionals for my front greeting. And you'll just put that on that little piece of cardstock that's out to the side there. Okay. And once again, you can stop there. You don't need to add anything else, but I like to add a few little gems on a lot of my cards. These have retired and I loved them. They're the Riverside Irregular Pearls, but you could probably use the, if you don't have these left over, the Antique Pearls would probably work with this if you like those. But I thought these colors up here just blended in, the iridescence blended in with the colors I'm using on my card. So I'm going to put a few of these up here in that top corner just to give it a little extra pizzazz. And there we go. I think that's all I need to finish it. Okay. So we've got 2 more cards from tonight to go with the 2 we made last week, which are these 2. I don't know if I can get them all in the frame or not. Here, let me put this one up. There. There's all 4 cards. And then remember, you've got this piece left over that we'll make some cards with next week. All right. Thank you for watching tonight, and I hope you're having a great evening wherever you are.